I think one of the misconceptions when you say like you're a litigator or a lawyer, people assume you're in court, like physically in a courtroom every day. And I think people don't really realize, no, I actually stare at a computer a lot.
Habeas corpus is something that goes back to the days of the Magna Carta. It predates the Constitution.
Essentially means that you can't be detained against the law.
The government has to prove that it has the authority to exercise its power to hold somebody. It's important because if you think about the power that the government has to detain people, to deport people, to imprison people, the government has to be able to prove that it actually is doing that lawfully, that it has the authority to do that. Otherwise, the government can do what it wants.
Amicus is actually short for amicus curiae, which means in Latin, friend of the court.
When someone doesn't want to join as a party to a case, as a plaintiff or defendant, they can file briefs in support of either party saying, here are the real world consequences of what this action is.
That can include stories of impact for people on the ground or wider aspects of the law that aren't in focus in the case in question.
And I think courts really look to amici to give them an example of what will happen as a result of the court's action. For purposes of our cases at Democracy Forward, having amici participate is so supportive, it's so helpful. Taking the step to be an amicus is a really brave step too, and we really appreciate when parties can join as amici.
The difference between a TRO and a PI, temporary restraining order, is handed down immediately, sometimes without even briefing from the other party, and it lasts 10 days before additional court measures are needed, whether that's additional briefing or hearings, whereas a preliminary injunction is handed down with full briefing from both parties and is not time limited. Instead, it would expire either at the end of a case when a permanent injunction is ordered, or if it's ruled that an injunction isn't necessary by the judge.
Due process at kind of the highest level is a way of guaranteeing that the government doesn't act arbitrarily.
The government can't take something away from you without some sort of process, protections, or just kind of telling you what your rights are.
The government has to be able to be held to account for what it does. It has to justify its actions. The government is going to say, put somebody in prison. That person needs to be told what they did. They need to have an opportunity to object and to explain that maybe the government got it wrong, that they didn't do that. Usually a judge or a judge and a jury decide whether the government in fact followed the law.
I'm Andrew, and this is Ask an Attorney. If you've got other questions, go ahead and drop a comment. We're happy to answer them.